What is it with Hollywood and its love affair with the downtrodden, victimed Latino immigrant? And is Andor in one of a series of long tropes, one after the other, decades of Hollywood stereotypes as well? And with that being said, with that white savior still in play to this day in cinema, I'm going to read some of your thoughts, and I have a new feeling about the show called Andor. All right, here we go. Paulie here back on the Latino Slant. Make sure you are subscribed, smash the like, consider joining the channel as a member, and become a Slantino today. Click join. All right, so in this video, I am going to go and pull from an earlier interview that Diego Luna gave in regards to the show Andor. In fact, it's from May of 2022. Then I want to go over some definitions of what he was talking about. I want to review my notes from the first 3 episodes. Then also, I want to read a couple of your comments because I posed the same question that I asked and talked about at the beginning of this video to you guys in our community tab. There's a couple of really great answers. Finally, bear with me. Finally, I am going to give you my new review rating, if you will, after further consideration on Andor, the first 3 episodes. Okay, let's get right to it. So, from May of this year, Diego Luna has called this the journey of a migrant. Okay, the journey of a migrant. So, right there, here's a sentence. It's a journey of a migrant. That feeling of having to move is behind the story very profoundly and very strong. That shapes you as a person. It defines you in many ways and what you are willing to do. Okay, well, let's get some definitions here. Let's get some clarity. And I do this mainly for my sake. Okay, a migrant is a person who moves from one place to another, especially in order to find work or better living conditions. From the first 3 episodes, this is not Andor. Based off of this definition, this goes against what Diego is saying here and what I have seen in the first 3 episodes. Okay, natural migration for a better life, work, and living conditions. That is so far. That is not the 3 episodes of Andor that I saw. If I'm wrong, comment. Let me know. But I'm not wrong. I have this other thought, and actually, they do say it earlier here. Luna now describes the show as a refugee story, saying, and then that same line, okay, a refugee is a person who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. Tens of thousands of refugees fled their homes. That is Andor. He is a child refugee of a planet disaster, impending doom of all the indigenous people. I feel better with that definition. And why does it matter? I will tell you for my own head's sake in a few. Let's read on. This is Tony Gilroy's definition here, his take in regards to Andor. He consciously, soberly, without vanity or recognition, sacrifices himself. Who does that? That's what is the first season is all about. It's about him being really revolution adverse and cynical and lost and kind of a mess. I definitely agree. He is Andor at the beginning of this show is a complete disaster, right? He's a womanizer, he's a gambler, he's in the first 3 episodes also established he's had a prison record. So he's not a good guy. And spoiler, he kills people in this first episode. I mean, within the first 10 minutes. Okay? So, that's that. Let's get back to what Tony was saying. And it's not that he's kind of a mess. He's not a good guy. He is an absolute disaster. His adopted home will become the base of our whole first season. We will watch that place become radicalized. Then we will see another planet that's completely taken apart in a colonial kind of way. The empire has been expanding rapidly. They're wiping out anybody who's in their way. Radicalized colonial. Not so subtle definitions in terms, if you ask me, especially in telling a story. Now, is that the case with Andor? Well, yes and no. It's definitely there in the first 3 episodes. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it's not. And now I want to get into some of my um notes here from watching Andor again. Right away, they define the security force that governs the sector, the zone, as cops. And now these 2 cops, so to speak, 2 cops that bully and then run down Andor picking a fight. They are telling him what to do, hands up, the whole deal. And at one point, because I don't know, it's very strange. At one point, maybe because it's raining, maybe because they had to walk far to get into the sector, they said, "Did you swim here? It looks like you swam here." So I don't know if that's a subtle. I think there are, from what I'm taking, modern jabs at current immigrant situations. Let me go on. When after he kills these people, these 2 men, when the alert comes out, it's further said that we're looking for a man with dark features. So there is definitely a stand that Gilroy and Luna are taking on this whole kind of modern immigrant story, the Latino immigrant coming to the States, and even the words border, protecting the border, as far as that security sector is brought up as well in these first 3 episodes. Now, this is not an opinion, guys. This is not an opinion as far as my notes. These are words that were in the dialogue. Okay. The word cop, the word swam over here, dark features, border. Okay, now let's back up, because he's part of a tribe of no adults called the Canari on this planet. Um, we don't we're not privy as to where these adults are. We see that this ragtag group of kids have pasted clothes together that they're wearing. It's very undefined. I know that some of their clothes are come off loosely, but yet they're all wearing thermals underneath. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. It looks like a primitive indigenous tribe. Now, going back to being a refugee, he is a child refugee that is saved by Marva, the elderly the elderly white lady who is a black market dealer. She even says, "I'm not leaving him here to die." So that's the backstory, and I find the backstory. Well, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it. Okay, and even every time that they go back to the tribe of the kids, there's the primitive tribal music. It's very light. There's very like because of the filmmaking in the storytelling. There's nothing I feel um, that hits you over the head and that's clunky. You know, it's very subtle. Now, some people would disagree. Again, there's these lines of corporate borders. Um, that first episode, the opening shot was him walking in the rain into looking for his sister. And the closing shot was him as a kid saying goodbye to his sister and that he'll be right back. Now, we also see that in the second episode, it's established that Marva, his adopted mom, forged his papers, saying that your documents that you were Feist, not Canary. After Andor commits murder, he now instead of trying to find his sister being his main motivator, he's got to get out of the system. So he's trying to put money together to get out of the system. Andor has a rap sheet. Um, I talked about the clothing. Also too when they attack, the primitive children howl. They make howling sounds, and I'm sure that's connected to some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of a tradition that they do when they're about to go to war. Doesn't really work for me. Oh, let me keep my opinions too. Let me hold off on that. So also too, we see that the mining has just destroyed this planet, and it's very subtle. We don't see it a lot, and it's talked about. Which also implied that that planet no longer exists. We talked about also the words imperial prison record Andor has. And then finally, in the third episode, Stellan Skarsgård talks about how Andor's father was hung by the Empire. Okay. And am I missing any other notes? I think that is it. Yeah, I think that is it. So when again, I had I had saw the first couple episodes, and it wasn't until a couple other uh viewers who are Latino were like, look, they weren't subtle about this. This tribe represents South America, represents Mexico, and you have the white savior coming in, and you have the bad imperial colonialists. And I was like, nah, I didn't really see that. And I watched it again, and I was like, okay. So again, I posed the question at that time to all you guys in our community tab. And I got a couple of really good comments I just want to go over if you don't mind. I think they're pretty good. Now, Nick McCabe said, "My thinking is Hollywood feels that if it doesn't portray minorities in a very specific way, then let's go ahead and make this bigger." And as I'm doing that, let me know how you guys feel. Please comment. I would love to have this conversation continue with you guys in the comments. Let's get that dialogue going. I feel if Hollywood doesn't portray minorities in a specific way, everyone will forget how oppressed they are by the system. That and the oppression will continue. It's very cynical and, in my opinion, highly counterintuitive. By consistently portraying minorities in a very specific way, it's only reinforcing the status quo, especially in people's minds, which ultimately destroys all hope for society's improvement. This is where more positive and a wider variety of representation not a big fan of that word, but sometimes it's necessary, is needed. A wider variety of stories written by a wider variety of people, containing a wide variety of characters, and not just the pre approved activistic stories Hollywood has inscribed. Thank you, Nick McCabe. And Nick hails from Australia. Fantastic. Darth Plato. It's more to do with the academia than politics. And then Hollywood follows after that. In school, this phenomenon is the so-called social binary. It's a reductionist tactic to cast the world as either victim, victimizer. It's a derivative of Marx expropriate the expropriator. This meshes with another assumption in school. It is used to be the case that groups had legal status because groups are made up of individuals, and individuals have rights guaranteed by the Constitution Bill of Rights. Today, it's flips upside down. Now, the thinking is individuals have status because they are parts of groups, and groups have status based on socially recognized pecking order. People of color, women, homosexual, etc. This is why guilt is applied to white people and men as groups. It is in part why we see race gender swapping. All right. Well, first of all, I really appreciate as I readjust in my seat. First of all, I really appreciate your comments and keep that conversation, keep it popping. Okay. So we've gone over what Diego and Gilroy are trying to convey. I've gone over some of my notes and some of these lines of dialogue, words in dialogue is very, very, very powerful. The words of dialogue, right? Just in general. So those are in the story of the first 3 episodes. Then we got to your comments. Now, upon watching the 3 episodes of Andor again, here is how I feel. I love it even more. I do. I do. I as a just a lover of character and of story, I think it did an incredible job of laying out all these characters in these 3 episodes. Could have been a little shorter? Maybe. Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe there was a little too much walking around a little bit, and, that you can get to A to B real, lot sooner. However, I think that Tony and crew wanted you to sit with the characters and their agitation a little bit more and their conflict, because each of these guys had a lot of strong conflict, including the Imperial security guard. He was great. Um, the 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 journey is riveting, and just because they're kind of, I want to say, goal might not be like, to, they jump on a ship and go to another planet, they go to another planet. It's one goal. Within that one goal, so much can be revealed and so much happens. I do have a problem with the backstory and the flashbacks, as I did when I first saw it. I find that this storytelling is incredibly tragic so far. And it's not so far. It hasn't relied on action. There's no member berries, there's no gimmicks, there's no lightsabers, of course. So that's a whole nother argument whether this piece of really meditative, tragic science fiction belongs in the Star Wars universe. Some will disagree, some won't, some will. I think it fits right in. Like I said earlier, I think it's beautiful. Now let's get to these tropes. They exist, they have existed in movie after movie done by Hollywood and written by non-Latino writers, or let's just say writers who don't have that expertise it comes off very victim based. The foreign portrayal. Even when it's a family, a Latino family that's from here, they always have accents, and you wonder why. You scratch your head. Now, Diego's a different story because he is a Mexican actor. His first language is Spanish. If you get a chance to watch some of his films in Spanish, he's absolutely incredible. This is this is the first time I've seen Diego act in English that compares to his Spanish work. And he's simply riveting to watch. There's not there's not an unauthentic moment in his performance so far. So with my so what that means for me, you connect that storytelling and his performance and the performances of a lot of these actors. It for me, it well overcomes my problems with the tropes. Do I wish Andor was not a migrant? Maybe he comes from a family kind of like that Jenna Urso or Within, and maybe they were from not a well-to-do family, but a working class family who bought into the empire's way of life. Yeah, I do. I feel that this vaulted storytelling and character work really the backstory is almost to the detriment of this because it's very it's almost very Tarzan-esque 50s stereotypes of the primitives, and us white people need to save the primitives from our own imperialism. uh that's just there, and if it gets worse in the storytelling, then that will be its downfall. Now, from all accounts, from what I hear, that's not going to be the case, and I'm glad for that because I um I am excited for this show. I am excited after the first 3 episodes. I'm invested, and from what I hear, the action picks up, more worlds, more characters. Great. I am very curious to get the full story of Andor's primitive background, and yeah, I think I get so with that being said, my initial review rating was 7. It has gone up to an 8. Great stuff. Let me know what you guys think. That's all the time I have for in this video. Andor, after further consideration, you so far are using the old trope of the victim immigrant, but you are vaulting it up so far. Wherever you're at, guys, keep your slant fuerte.